Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Andy Evans with Columbus Wired, and we're finally here. We've hit that point in the year. It's the fourth Saturday in November, and of course that can mean only one thing. That's right, the game, the greatest rivalry in all of college football, the greatest rivalry in all of sports. Throw the records out the window, throw the accolades out the window. It doesn't matter who's done what or who is where they are at this point in the year. It only means one thing. It means pride. It means respect. It means Ohio State versus Michigan. Here we go, folks. This is your Columbus Wired Ohio State Michigan pregame preview, and of course, I'm happy to bring it to you. Unfortunately, I'm riding solo this show. My man Ralph Schudel was not able to come along, but hopefully he'll be along when we preview Ohio State's Big Ten championship game versus Wisconsin next week. But right now, none of that matters. It's time to break down the Buckeyes and the Wolverines. 9th-ranked Ohio State walking into this one right now at 9-2. They are 7-1 in the Big Ten, taking on the Wolverines, who have had a little bit of a lackluster season, but are still hanging on to a good record at 8-3 overall, 5-3 in the Big Ten. So what's going to happen? This is the game, like I said, you throw everything out the window. Accolades don't matter. Everything that JT Barrett has done up to this point in his career absolutely does not matter. Here's my synopsis. Now, this is going to be a game that is going to come down to, quite frankly, Ohio State and JT Barrett leading this prolific offense against a Michigan defense that, folks, is very, very good. They're not as good as they were last year, but this is certainly still a damn good defense that Michigan leads. Right now, number one pass defense, not only in the Big Ten, but in the entire country at 144 yards a game. They're the number two pass efficiency defense in the Big Ten. 9 picks on the year, have only allowed 8 touchdowns. They're number 2 in the Big Ten in sacks. They've gotten 36. In fact, they're only one behind Wisconsin, who leads with 37. They're number 1 in the defense in allowing first downs. They've only allowed 149 first downs the entire year. Folks, that's good for 3rd in the entire country. On the flip side, Ohio State and JT Barrett and their prolific offense, number 1 scoring offense, almost 45 points per game. Number 1 total offense at 546 yards a game. Number 1 passing offense. Number 1 rushing offense. So this is, quite frankly, a top-notch offense in Ohio State against a top-notch defense in the Michigan Wolverines. And folks, if you don't think that this defense and this Michigan team is going to be fired up to prove that they are better than that 8-3 record, especially with the game being up there in Ann Arbor, then you got another thing coming. This is a defense that is very, very good. In fact, they're first right now in the entire country on 3rd down. They've only allowed teams to convert on 3rd down 24% of the time. Unbelievable. Taking on a OSU team that is number 1 in the country in number of first downs gained at 308. So this game is going to be won on whether Ohio State can convert first downs. If they get held to any 3rd and longs, and I'm talking 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and beyond, this is going to be a very long game for the Buckeyes and for JT Barrett. Now, of course, throughout the season against Penn State, I thought, run the ball. This is the best passing efficiency defense that you are facing right now in the country. And JT Barrett went nuts and proved me wrong and threw for over 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, went berserk. Then they play Michigan State. I say, throw the ball, because this is the 3rd best rushing defense in the country, and all they do is come out and run for 335 yards. So far at this point, a season high for the Buckeyes. So what do? You're facing a Michigan defense that is very good against the pass. and Ohio State's been running the ball extremely well the last 2 weeks. 335 against Michigan State, 325 last weekend against Illinois. So it just seems logical, right? You run the football. You put the ball in the hands of Mike Weber Jr., who has gone berserk the last 2 games. You put the ball also in the hands of your dynamic true freshman, J.K. Dobbins. Let him ramble. And then, of course, you rely on JT to do a couple of read options and run for 50, 60 yards. That would be the synopsis, right? But at this point, I don't know what in the world is going on with this OSU team. Just when you think you have it figured out, just when you say run and they pass, just when you say pass and they run, they do the exact opposite. So I think this is going to be a knee knocker. I really do. I think this is coming down almost like we saw last year, the first ever overtime game in OSU Michigan game history. It goes to 2 overtimes. Of course, we all know how that ended up, and the Buckeyes pulled it out 30-27. But this is a Michigan team. They have not won this game since 2011. Urban Meyer undefeated now. 5 wins against the Wolverines. Jim Harbaugh, 3rd year here with the Wolverines, has yet to win. If you don't think that he is going to have these kids flying high and ready to smash some Buckeye helmets into the ground, then you got another thing coming. Ultimately, though, here is this. Ohio State still has national title hopes on the line. If they can get through this game, and then of course they've got next game against Wisconsin to try and get through, they could find themselves still getting into the national championship game. And of course that's been the rhetoric here for the last few weeks since their loss to Iowa. So, with that being said, what is going to happen in this game tomorrow? I think Ohio State comes out a little flat. I think Michigan comes out amped up. And I think the Wolverines come out and they smack the Buckeyes in the mouth and they surprise Ohio State. But I think because of Ohio State's leadership in J.T. Barrett, guys like Billy Price, other 5th-year seniors and 4th-year seniors that they have on this team, 19 in all, that's not a large amount of seniors, but just enough to really come in and make an impact. Guys like Tyquan Lewis, guys like Jalen Holmes, guys like Chris Worley. A lot of depth there on the defensive side of the ball that are going to be fired up to play this game. You've even got some 4th-year juniors, guys like Sam Hubbard. I'm not sure if this dude's going to be back next year because he's just had a hell of a football season here at Ohio State here this year. So some guys that are going to be fired up, amped up, ready to play, and I think ultimately you could see what you saw last year. Michigan came out to a 17-7 lead in the 4th quarter, and Ohio State clamped down, were able to come back and, of course, push overtime because of a Jack Willoughby field goal with 3 seconds left to tie up the game, take it in overtime, and then once again, like I said, we all know how that one ended up. I've got the Buckeyes in this one. Maybe I'm a homer. Maybe, call it just OSU pride. But I do think that Ohio State, in the long run, is going to outlast Michigan, and they're going to win this football game. Now, I've been saying 27-17 all week. As the week has worn on, though, especially today, I'm kind of having some second thoughts about that. But I'm going to stay true. I do think it's going to be closer than 10 points, but because I initially said 27-17, I'm going to stick with my prediction. But, folks, I would not doubt it if it once again comes down to a last-second field goal. If it goes into overtime like it did last year, I wouldn't put anything past what could happen tomorrow, because once again, this is the game. This is what it's all about. The reason that the rivalry is so important in college sports, maybe important is a big word to say, but it's just the reason that this game is as insane as it is, and a lot of other rivalries out there, but this game in particular is because, once again, you throw the records out. Woody and Bo, they're the ones that really ramp this rivalry up. And now that Jim Harbaugh's here, being a former quarterback at Michigan, Urban Meyer being an Ohio guy, being a former Ohio State coach, now these two going head-to-head, I would not put it past anything to see this game come down to the wire, and I hope it does. Because truly, that's just what makes this rivalry what it is. It's so exciting to watch. So my final score, Ohio State 27-17. Throwing in a caveat though, don't be surprised if it comes down to the wire. For Columbus Wired, I'm Andy Evans. Thanks for watching.